Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for September 14th, 2018. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We are seeing a bump higher in overnight and pre-market trading here as price continues to trend higher within the current uptrending market structure. Very clear uptrend that we've been within. Again, the pullback here right into the pivot range for the month was an opportunity for us to look to add to positions for a shot at looking at new highs here. Again, anytime we get a bounce higher like this and you start to approach the prior highs here, you have to be mindful of any signs of rejection, because any failed new highs could open up a return back toward lows, and then at that point we may begin to see some expanding range. But for the most part, that hasn't been the case in this market. It did happen kind of this time here where we did come up here, fail, and come back, not quite to the lower edge, and then that led to strength. That doesn't necessarily have to happen every time. It's just something you look for on this type of initial push higher. If it's going to fail here, you might want to lighten some of the load, maybe add back on a pullback ahead of the next continuation. But as of right now, holding positions for a shot at seeing a push higher. We're looking for a continuation to the next upside target zone between basically 29.50 and 29.65. Somewhere in there could be a great target zone here over the next several days. And if we look at the NQ, it looks very similar as well. The NQ has bounced very nicely off of the midpoint of last month's range. We have an uptrending market here, very clear uptrending structure, bouncing off the midpoint here and rallying. Again, a retest of the previous close was the high probability opportunity in this case after the bounce here, and that's where we're approaching now. But to push through that zone would open up much more upside, and we're looking for a continuation towards 78.34 to 7800 in the near term. That's still about 178 points away, so we still have quite a bit more upside just on a near-term basis. Again, this market has a tendency to stretch even beyond that, with the 100% target being at around 79.25 on a monthly basis. So more upside could certainly be ahead, especially if prices can start to push through previous highs and those previous closes. So let's take a look here at crude oil. Now this one has been very active on a day-to-day basis. It hasn't gone anywhere in terms of kind of a longer term basis. It's mostly just been chopping and coiling around the 69s, back and forth around that level. It still wants nothing to do with prices above 70 at this time, but it also doesn't want to really do anything with prices below 66s. So again, a very clear compression that's happened here in crude oil. It's kind of trading around a midline here of about 69.34. We could continue to see back and forth chop. Eventually we may see some expansion, but in the current flow right now, it's a downtrending behavior on a day time frame basis. So this midpoint right here at about 69.30, the previous session's mid, is very important. Any failure to rise above that zone suggests more downside, and right now the pullbacks are being defended up until that point, and we could be looking at more downside selling pressure back towards 67.50 and these two FOMC key levels from May and August. So again, failure to get back above the 69.30 suggests more downside, and we could be looking at a push right into the 67.50s. Let's take a look now at RTY. This one's been a little bit different, but it has hung in there. It really has hung in there. It hasn't looked the strongest. It hasn't really been able to really hold the 1720, but it has held the 1700 and the breakout point here. We've gotten some tails at the bottom end of the range. You've got clear bears defending, trying to keep prices above 1725 offered here. But again, if these bears fail to get paid, then the stops come out. So stops can come out, say above 1725, 1730. That could open up a big aggressive move to the upside over the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, something similar to this. But we've been waiting for that type of behavior. It just hasn't happened. 2 days ago we got a great rejection, midpoint retest, a little higher today, above yesterday's mid. all of that suggests that we could be looking at more upside ahead. But again, this one's been a little bit behind, but could catch up here pretty soon. And if we look at the YM, now this one has pushed to new highs. Bears had been defending the previous month's close. Bulls have been defending just below it. That was about the tightest little 6 or 7 day range we had seen. What was very interesting with this one here just recently is price developed a nice rejection tail here 2 days ago with a great midpoint right there, and then yesterday's session pushed through that midpoint. And anytime that happens, I say time and time again, 99 out of 100 times you're going to take out that high, and that's what's happening here. So this is very, very bullish. Theoretically speaking, price could come back to the previous month's close and still be bid for a shot at continuing higher. So right now these markets look poised for a continued push higher. We are at a point in the charts, in each of these charts, where a failure could occur, so you do want to be mindful of that. Right now price is sitting just above the previous session's high, which is 26,203. Any failure to hold that level today could open up, more of a pullback. Overall, you want to see prices continue to maintain acceptance above that zone for further overall upside price discovery. All right, that is it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.